Go ahead. Do I have time?
You're out of time, Mr. Massé.
Okay.
But we'll get back to you. Monsieur Perkins, the floor is yours for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Singh, for being here. You spoke a lot in your opening, obviously, about food prices. It's the main driver of this initiative. But after 9 years, the NDP has voted for every single budget that Justin Trudeau has put forward. And Canadians are more miserable and hungry than ever. Just as an example, lettuce is up 94% in that time, onions 69%, cabbage 70% since your deal with the Liberals. And a Dalhousie study, the food professor as he calls himself, shows that carbon taxes are increasing wholesale food prices by 34%. So my question is simple. Will you finally admit that carbon taxes increase the price of food?
Well, a couple of things are just false in that comment. 9 years, we have not supported every budget. That's not true. And in terms of the cost that Canadians are going through, Canadians were asked this very same question. Canadians were asked, what do you think is a major driver of your groceries? And Canadians were asked, and they answered, they said, the major driver that's pushing up the cost of their food is corporate greed. And then we also had an investigation. We had the Competition Bureau look into this. And it is very clear that corporations are ripping off Canadians. In fact, economists have made it clear that more and more large corporations are ripping off Canadians. So we're going after the major driver.
Increasing the price of food, yes or no?
We know the major driver, which is pushing up the price of food, is corporate greed. So why would we, and I don't know why the Conservatives are ignoring the major driver and looking at other things. We have something glaring in front of us that's hurting Canadians. The massive profits being accrued by CEOs of these large corporations, and the Conservatives want to ignore that, the major driver of the high cost of food, and want Canadians to believe that they actually care.
Mr. Singh, you're ignoring my question on the.
Well, you're ignoring the major driver that is putting up the cost of food in our country.
Mr. Singh, you put a lot of fog in your support for the carbon tax recently at the Broadbent Institute. Do you support the carbon tax, yes or no?
Well, it's very interesting to me that we're talking about food prices, and I've made the assertion that corporate greed is driving up the cost of food, and Canadians agree with this assertion. And the member doesn't want to talk about corporate greed. The substance of this bill,
food prices and
the substance of this bill is to take on corporate greed.
Will you answer a question, or are you just taking PMO talking points again? Does the carbon tax push up the price of food, and do you support the carbon tax? Yes or no?
The major driver pushing up the cost of food is corporate greed. And I don't know why the member doesn't want to talk about corporate greed that is ripping off Canadians. When Canadians go in the grocery store and they're paying more money than ever for their groceries, they know they're getting ripped off.
How many people
I don't know why the member doesn't want to talk about corporate greed.
How many people are now going to the food banks as a result of your support of this Liberal government?
As a result of subsequent Conservative and Liberal governments that have not taken on corporate greed, have ignored CEOs ripping off Canadians, right now 1 in 4 Canadian is skipping meals. There's record food bank usage because Liberals and Conservatives refuse to go after corporate greed.
When you visited striking Metro workers and went on their picket line, did you inform them that your brother and NDP spokesman both lobby for Metro?
First of all, that's patently false. And secondly, the member knows very well that we have opposed corporate greed when it comes to Metro, Sobeys, Loblaws, Walmart, Costco. But it's interesting to me that Conservatives will attack everybody, including my family, rather than attack the CEOs that are ripping off Canadians. That is very telling. That is very telling of who the Conservatives are. While I'm directly going after the CEOs of corporations.
Colleagues, Mr. Perkins, I'd appreciate if you could stay respectful in the words that you choose at this committee. I'll let you pursue.
He could avoid it if he answered the questions rather than avoiding them like the Liberals do. So
no, sir. You know that I've directly addressed the matter, which is that corporate greed is driving up food, and I'm attacking all large corporate grocery stores.
Chair, would you tell him to stop talking over me?
Maybe the member doesn't want to do that because his leader receives maximum donations from the CEO of Metro.
Point of order, Mr.
I'm willing
Chair.
to attack the CEOs of all corporations.
Mr. Singh, yes. Mr. Perkins.
The NDP leader is talking over my questions. He's a witness. He doesn't get to pose the questions, and he's harming the translation issues while he talks over me.
Well, from my standpoint. It's been going both ways, but I would appreciate that, and you are both skilled parliamentarians. The practice is usually that the answer should be about as long as the question. And the questions have been fairly long, Mr. Perkins.
Well, they've been about 20
So
seconds.
please just
They've been about
try to
20
keep that in mind going forward for all members. But Mr. Perkins, floor is yours.
So when you began the crusade on the grocery stores, did you clear with the ethics commissioner your stand because of your brother's conflict before you chose to attack all the other grocers except the one that he works for?
First of all, that's patently false, and the member knows it. I've attacked every CEO that's ripping off Canadians, including Metro, including Sobeys, including Loblaws. The member knows that. The member's lies will not change the fact that I'm right now talking about taking a corporate greed, where the Conservatives want to talk about everything but try to attack family members rather than attacking the corporate greed of these large corporations.
You've gone after Loblaw over 70 times and hardly ever mentioned the word Metro until we just asked you. So are you denying or saying that you did not clear your attack on the grocers and your direct conflict with your brother's work with the ethics commissioner? You didn't bother to do that?
The member knows that I have attacked all corporate greed by name, specifically including
Except
the
for your brother.
CEO of Loblaws, the CEO
Did you
of
ever
Metro,
meet with the did your brother ever meet with the CEO
of Sobeys,
of Metro?
the CEO. I've attacked Walmart, Costco.
Your
But the
answers along with
Conservatives,
my
though,
question.
Did
Did
you-
are
your
unwilling
brother
to
ever
go after corporate
Thank
greed.
you,
It's
Mr.
very
Metro?
telling that
Mr.
they're unwilling to
Perkins,
go
Mr.
after
Singh,
corporate greed.
let's